Hello, my beautiful humans, and welcome to the Becoming Human 2.0 Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Paul McFadden, and it's my mission to create global impact by cultivating real connection through having authentic conversations that matter. Today, I'm joined by my special guest, Nimesh Radia, another amazing human residing in London, England. In this episode, we discuss navigating the shift through embracing change, breaking molds, and finding joy. And of course, this conversation was completely unscripted. Here's a quick peek, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So enjoy. And remember, we're all here to discover, awaken, and evolve together. No, but on the other hand, do we want our evolution to be a synthetic evolution or an artificial evolution? Because if we give it all to the technology and to the machines, we could potentially lose our humanness.
Yeah, it's interesting. With AI and everything else, and there's a fear around it, and change just brings fear, right? But for me, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, I feel like there's a bigger plan in play, and technology has a role to play in that.
Nimesh, wonderful to have you with me today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this conversation. I love just having the unscripted conversation. Let the universe guide us and have whatever conversation we're meant to have. I love it.
Love it. Let it unfold. That's my philosophy, because I feel like we all have something to share. There's a story, there's an expertise, or all those things. However, there only has to be one person that needs to hear it in my book, right? If I can work in my purpose and do what I'm called to do. And in this case, it's about the awakening spirit and breaking molds, unscriptedness of the podcast, but then the awakening spirit is sharing conversations that people typically have behind closed doors, or they're not having them at all in their other communities that they so proudly hold up and say, I'm in this committee, I'm in this group, I'm in that community, I'm here. I sit at these tables. I sit at a lot of tables too.
Yeah.
But the things that we talk about are very surface level. And I want to connect deep and have conversations that really matter, that impact humanity, that impact our lives, that impact how we experience this journey. And you don't get that all the time.
Yeah.
Look at you crazy. Bringing that up. I'm like, don't you think about that too?
Well, maybe people do, but they don't talk about it, right? That's the problem.
Talk about it. This is the talk. This is the time. I feel like the timing for all this is right, considering the world we're living in and how everybody's perceiving that and interpreting that. And maybe we'll just stop right there. There's a lot going on in the world today.
There is a lot going on in the world. But again, we were talking about before we started recording. I feel it's all part of the plan. I feel like the planet is shifting and it's meant to. And we can get lost in the noise that's happening on the planet, or we can choose to do the internal work that we're feeling inside, because everyone's feeling a shift, right?
Yeah.
And are you feeling the shift inside? And is that what you're focused on, or are you focused on the noise? Because it's easy to focus on the noise. And we go, look what's happening on the planet. And actually, it's interesting you say, I feel like this sort of conversation is happening more and more because people are going through a shift.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you were saying that, it gave me goosebumps, because I said something maybe a month ago, maybe it was back in November. And I said something along the lines of what you just said. I said, I feel like there are a lot of people in the world that are expecting someone else or something else to change the world for them. And I'm getting the sense that we'd be better served if we just go in, because the world on the outside is a direct reflection of the world on the inside. So if you're seeing chaos and discord and all these things, maybe that's going on inside of you, and maybe quiet the noise and get to the root of that. and shift yourself, you're going to change, which means you're going to show up to the world different, which means the world that we create for ourselves will be different.
Yeah.
Maybe let's put a little
So
bit of
true.
focus on that.
Yeah, it's so true. It's very interesting because I say that because you sound like me. I always say
Mhm.
everything in your external world is a result of something in your internal.
Mhm.
And I trigger people when I say that sometimes because if your world is chaos, I'm saying to people that actually you're responsible for the chaos. And you can get triggered by that, or you could feel the power of it.
Mhm.
Because if you're in charge of your external world, it means that, and your world is chaos, it means you can change it. It means you have the power.
You have the power.
We're a soul having a human experience.
Mhm.
How many people are trying to bypass the human experience? How many people are like, I'll be happy when,
Oh, I
or
love it.
or give me something and I'll be fixed. Give me a
Yeah.
course.
If
Give
this
me a
happens, then I'll
yeah.
do this, and it'll be this, and you're
But we're
waiting.
meant to have the experience, and that's the thing. What are we trying to bypass? We chose to be here to have this experience, and yet we want to run away from it because it's hard.
Hard. It's hard for some people, or I don't know.
It's yeah. I'll always say pain is inevitable because we grow from pain.
Yeah,
Suffering is optional,
suffering is optional.
and
Suffering is
that's the thing. It is.
optional. You say that, and it lands, and it should land really loudly for a lot of people. And I hope it does, because the suffering piece is optional. Many people historically that have shown us that, have written books about Viktor Frankl, it's
Yeah.
popped in mind. Suffering is optional. There
Yeah.
was pain. He chose not to suffer, and he chose
He
to stay
chose not to give his
open.
power away. Yeah, he chose not to give his power away. So powerful.
It's powerful. And for those who don't know the book, The Man's Search for Meaning, right? Yeah, that's just such a powerful statement, and I think it's simplistic, but it's profound.
Yeah.
People don't
I-
know how to
I'll
do
give you an
it.
example. I'll give
Mm,
you an example of what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing with a lot of people is a lot of soul contracts are coming to an end, right? And what I mean by soul contracts is we're meant to meet people, we're meant to experience something with them, whether it's love, joy, pain. A lot of soul contracts are coming to an end. And for me, a great example of pain is inevitable, suffering is option is, let's say we're in a relationship. The relationship has naturally come to an end. We've learned everything we're meant to. We've experienced love. We've experienced pain, but the soul contract is finished. But we stay in that environment
yes.
and we suffer. And it's easy for me to say, by the way, right?
Mm,
But it's like when we start challenging ourselves and asking, hold on, have I learned everything I meant to from this relationship? And it's scary, right? It's scary because you get used to a certain way of being,
that's right.
and yet the universe is challenging you. But I feel like this phase, we're being pushed and challenged in a much deeper way than we have ever been before.
Yeah.
And do we choose to do the work or do we choose to run?
Yeah, which brings me to an interesting thought that's popped in my head. And I've had some other conversations about this, but it's really just when you said that, this just came to mind because I feel like humanity is at a precipice of we're at the crossroads in our evolution, if you will. And so there are folks who believe in like the transhumanism movement. And I understand the awe of it. It's like we have technology, we have all these developments and creations that we have pulled together, and we have, from a scientific perspective, the opportunity to provide people, in some respects, with freedom. Folks who have never been able to see before can see. Folks who have never been able to hear before can now hear. People with missing limbs can now have limbs attached to their bodies, and folks that never walked before can walk. It's a scientific, and scientifically, it's a miracle. Now,
Yeah.
there's some of these things that we could be doing ourselves. I don't know about spontaneously growing limbs, but I think we have the potential to do an
Yeah.
unbounded amount of things. Who knows if we could do that? We've never even tried, or we stopped
True.
trying, or whatever. So
Yeah.
we don't know. But on the other hand, do we want our evolution to be a synthetic evolution or an artificial evolution? Because if we give it all to the technology and to the machines, we could potentially lose our humanness.
Yeah. It's interesting. With AI and everything else, and there's a fear around it, and change just brings fear, right? But for me, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, I feel like there's a bigger plan in play.
Mhm.
And technology has a role to play in that, right? I feel like we were talking about before we started recording. I feel like we're shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine, which is all about masculine is all about control, power, politics, and for the feminine is all about our gifts, our connection to soul, community, right? You do this. This is all about creating community, and I feel like the shift that's happening is we're shifting from the head to the heart.
Yes.
And technology has a part to play in working smarter, not harder.
Mm.
ChatGPT is a great example. I was resisting at the beginning. I'm like, no, people need to hear my words. And on my podcast, people do hear my words, but creating a summary for my words, it's interesting how ChatGPT has evolved over time. And it's almost, it sounds like me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's learning. And it's, can it ever overtake me?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I get my information from a different place. I don't get it from a library. I feel like I channel it. So can technology channel? I don't think so. So maybe, who knows in the future? I feel like there's nothing that can happen that should scare us. And you just look at the technology and how things have evolved. You know, even look at lockdown. I have a different interpretation of that. I feel like I acknowledge a lot of people suffered, a lot of people left this realm, but also, and you actually, I heard you talking about earlier on your YouTube, but I feel like it was Mother Nature. Everyone's saying they're too busy, and I feel like it was Mother Nature sending us to the naughty corner and saying, "Okay, you either heal or you don't, and it's a choice."
Yeah.
I feel like that was the beginning of the shift that we're feeling right now, and it's different. That was forced, right? We had no choice.
Yeah, it was.
The shift feels like it's a choice.
Yeah.
Do we choose to focus on the noise that's happening on the planet, or do we choose to focus on how we're feeling inside?
Yeah. And as you say that, it's almost like I'm watching the picture of it all just unfold in front of me. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
And we do have a choice. It's like you talk about shifting from masculine to feminine, and there's this last grasp for the masculine to grab all the power and all the control. We're going to show you this.
It's desperate.
It's a desperate attempt to hang on to this way of being. And you need both. You need both masculine and feminine
100%.
being in balance to work.
And that's what's happening right now. The masculine in us is in crisis. It's trying to hold on. And the feminine in us is trying to figure out who it is. And it's causing all this. But in reality, how much control do we have? We're trying to control things. We're trying to look at the last few years. Nobody could have controlled COVID. Nobody could have, even 2024, it was such an emotional roller coaster. The only control we have is this moment. What do we choose to focus on in this moment? Do we choose to focus on the joy, the beauty, the magic of this moment? The fact that we have air to breathe, the fact that we can have this conversation? Or do we choose to get lost in the future? Oh, what's AI going to do? What's all this, the weather changes and the politics, and oh my God, what's going to happen in a year's time? We can't control that, but we can control this moment. And if we can shine our light and actually do the work that we need to, then what if we can shift the world by focusing on this moment and the beauty and our power and our joy in this moment?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a powerful time. I feel like all the souls that are here right now chose to be here. Everybody has a role to play, which is just as equally important as everybody else's. But it's a choice. I love it. I feel my soul has waited many lifetimes to be here at this moment. But it is a little scary for the human in me. It is a little daunting. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm here for it.
It is scary. It's interesting. Because everything you just said, I really resonate with that. I think this is a time where it's exciting. We dealt with all these challenges. I feel like there's like everything is like this year is the year that we are compelled to put things in order. Like, get your world in order.
It's time, right?
It's time. And so there's that. And then I was compelled in 2023. It was really interesting because I met a spiritual medium, and a conversation that I had actually put off for almost a year. And this person was familiar with me. They knew who I was, but they didn't know any of my history or my background, anything about me and my family or anything. And we had a conversation. And in that conversation, she shared to me, she said, I'm getting a message from some of your ancestors. And I'm a very open-minded person. I'm like, I'm all for it. This is my conversation. So I'm like, great. So what's the message? And so she said, but I'm getting it from someone specifically. And she shared with me, and I haven't shared this publicly with anybody. This is actually the first time I'm actually sharing this. This is
I love
interesting.
it. I love it. I love
I'm
it.
feeling compelled to share it because I think it's connected, right? She said that the person is, she said that I'm being told to tell you that it's your father's mother. But now it was a specific reference to this person because when I was growing up, I didn't know my father's mother. She was alive, but she was not connected to the family. Like she self-selected out. And so as a result of that, as I was growing up, I grew to resent her because she wasn't part of our lives. And I always referred to her as my father's mother.
Wow.
And no one else knows that story other than my sisters and my mother and father. And there was a time where she tried to reconnect, like she tried to connect with the kids, so me and my sisters, and I refused to do it. And she eventually passed away, and I did not allow her to apologize or make whatever amends. Now, she shared that's who the person was, and that the person was telling me, she said, you are not of this realm. You are not you're not of the family you were born into. You're from a broader family, and you are here to do something much bigger than you realize. All you have to do is listen to that voice and do what you're being told to do, and everything that you've ever wanted will happen for you. And I heard that in 2023, and I ignored it. I didn't know what
Did you?
I
Did you
heard
ignore
it.
it?
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think, no, I didn't know that, but I didn't know what to do with it. So
Yeah.
what am I supposed to, what's that mean? If you build it, they will come. What does that mean? So it took me a while to process it. And then as my world started shifting and I started shedding certain things and things are coming out of my life on purpose, like you said, things were coming to an end. And
Yeah.
those things all needed to. There were people that I needed to end relationships.
That's what I mean. Soul contracts were done.
The contract was done, yeah. And I truly believe that the contract was done. And I firmly believe that we all chose this experience, whatever the experiences you had. People hate when you say that because I didn't choose this. I didn't choose this life.
Yeah, it triggers the people, right? It triggers people. Why would I choose this? Are you crazy?
Why would I choose to suffer? But you're choosing to suffer, but you don't have to. So, like you said, you had pain. Like we're here to experience the full range of emotions, not live in them,
Yeah,
experience
exactly.
them, right?
That's the thing. We're a student. We're a student. Whatever we experience, isn't that interesting? Oh yeah, what do I learn from this? Rather than
Right.
being a victim. I love it. Thank you for sharing, by the way. That's powerful.
Yeah, and that's this. Like we're talking because of that.
Yeah.
One of the
Isn't
reasons.
it? When you start connecting the dots and you
Yeah.
get away from the emotion, you realize that there was always a bigger plan. That message you needed, you got it when you needed it most.
Mhm.
And for me, what it means is it's like for so long we're trying to fit into this world.
Yeah.
We're trying to live a program life. We're supposed to get married, have kids, working, or get a business, whatever that may be. But what if we're not meant to live a program life?
Mm-hmm.
What if we're meant to do something that's never been done before? And we work so hard to fit in. What if we're not meant to fit in? And if we did fit in, are we going to create something that's never been done before? Because if we fit into to a mold, then we're fitting into something that's already been.
Yeah.
Where if we're here to create something that's never been done before, we're not meant to fit in.
We're not meant to fit in.
And for so many of us, for so much of our life, we try to fit in.
Yeah.
Whether it's religion, whether it's school, whether it's society, whether it's work, we wanted to fit in. And I'm sure for many of us, we've never fitted in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to a certain point, you realize you were never meant to fit in.
Yeah.
And I love that you shared that. I feel it's powerful. I feel like we're receiving more messages now from our guides and our ancestors, and they're nudging us and pushing us than ever before. But do we hear it? And you say you didn't hear that,
Right.
but actually, then you went down through a process of ending relationships, ending soul contracts, shifting your world, but yet you feel you weren't listening. Whereas actually, there's a part of you it's the brain ignored it,
Yeah.
but the part of you that integrated it, because
Oh, the soul heard it.
it's because the ego is all about, the ego has a bad rap, but and it's trying to protect you, but it's very human.
Mhm.
It's earth guide only, so it means it's trying to protect you, doesn't want you to change.
Yeah.
But that's this lifetime. That's everything you've learned in this life.
Yeah.
And if you're going to create something new, how can you create it from your mind, your history? You're going to
Right.
have to create it from your heart and soul. So your mind had to be busy
Mhm.
to ignore that message. Because if it tried to understand it, you probably would have just crippled yourself by, I don't know what this means or this, but somehow you just let it go.
Mhm.
But your heart and soul trusted it. I think it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Powerful
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you. And so here we are. So what do we do with all that? I think that people are what I find really beautiful is that people are asking the question, like, who am I? Like, what are we here to do? I've been having to talk about purpose a lot lately, and I've been funny. I have shifted on that a little bit. The conversation has been, I think, fundamentally that we all share the same divine purpose, but and I boil it down to growing ourselves, giving to others, right? Now, that could be grow, learn, and love. It could be a lot of different ways, however you want to say that, but it really comes down to there's a thing you have to do with yourself, right? And
Yeah.
you
I mean, I
can extend help to other people and support other people. Yeah. And how you do that looks different. The way you do it and the way I do it is
100%. Yeah, I try and simplify that whole thing, right? I
Mhm.
feel like we stress about our purpose, our destiny.
Yeah.
What if we have multiple purposes? Why do we want to limit ourselves to just one? And
Mhm.
I have simplified it for me by saying my purpose is anyone I connect with, leave them better than I found them.
Yeah.
And it means that if I impact one person in a day, I've achieved my purpose.
Mhm.
Because you said it earlier, you said, what if we just focus on the one person?
Yeah.
And if this conversation helps one person, I've achieved my purpose. Why do we complicate life, right? But what
Mhm.
that allows me to do, it allows me to do everything I'm here to do, whether it's public speaking, whether it's podcasting, whether it's mentorship, whether it's whatever it is. Why do we limit ourselves? We're shifting and because when I say we're receiving more messages, I should have clarified that a little bit in terms of we all have guides.
Mhm.
We all have a soul, a heart. And a lot of people will say, I don't have guides, I don't get messages. A lot of the time, that's because they're comparing themselves to others. Like a lot of people will see things, will hear things.
Mhm.
We all have intuition.
Yeah.
And that's how we start receiving messages by trusting our intuition.
Mhm.
You trusted your intuition by starting this, right? There was a nudge. This was for me, it was guided because you trusted your intuition.
Yeah.
So, what if right now we choose to trust our intuition? And it's like when we're worried about our purpose, our destiny, that thought comes from, I'm going to miss something. I'm going to miss my destiny. I'm going to miss my purpose. What if I don't fulfill while I'm here? I'm a big believer that whatever's for you will find you.
Yeah.
Nothing will miss you. And if something's not for you, it won't find you.
Mhm.
But again, if I come back to what are you focused on this moment? How are you going to shine your light in this moment? Don't worry about a year's time. Because it's like when you, oh my, I need to find out my purpose. This is
Mhm.
another waiting game, right? When I find my purpose, then
Then
I'm,
I will.
it's like we're waiting for some big flash in the sky, some big epiphany.
Mm.
But what if we're experiencing magic every day? What if we're experiencing little bits of magic in the sky every single day? But because it's not in the way that we expect it to be, we miss it.
Yeah. 100%. It's so interesting. I do these morning Zen meditations and intention setting sessions with folks in my tribe. And I shifted it maybe 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. And I started asking the question. I said, so we do our meditation and we get ready to do the intention setting. I say, so what do you appreciate the most about your life right now? And so I started integrating gratitude with this practice. But each day I ask the same question because it's right now. Because like what you're saying, I want to guide people down the road of finding the one thing that you're grateful for right now.
Yeah, intentional
Because
gratitude.
tomorrow it's not promised at
Yeah.
all, right? And so maybe today it's that I woke up and I got to feel the sunlight on my face, and maybe tomorrow it's for my family, and the day after that it's for this. You had an interaction with someone at work and something great happened or whatever. It could be something different every single day, but it's fine. Something There's
Yeah.
something to be grateful for.
So much power in that, right? When you're intentionally grateful, because it's easy to say, I'm grateful for the sun.
Mhm.
It's easy to say, I'm grateful for a roof over my head or kids, but when you're intentional, just like the way you describe it, you're just like, oh my God, I felt the sun on my face today. It was so powerful. You're intentional with that.
Mhm.
What are you doing when you do that? You're creating a magic moment. You're embedding it in you.
Yeah.
And what you're actually saying to the universe is, I want more of those magic moments.
Mhm.
Because what you focus on expands.
That's right.
And again, so why did you change it 2 weeks ago? There was some sort of intuition in you that said,
Some intuition, I must have heard it. I was having a conversation with someone and I was thinking about my own personal gratitude practice. And I was like, all I gotta do is change the questions, and that now becomes meditation, gratitude, and intention.
yeah,
And we did that, and we do that all in a 30-minute time span. And part of that's just connecting, just
yeah.
because
And everyone says, I don't have enough time.
and I don't have enough time.
Yeah, that's like, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. But it's, again, I think I trigger people when I say this, but if everything in the external world is a result of something internal, what if you're manifesting busyness
Yes.
because you don't want to deal with what's
You don't
happening?
want to deal with what's really going on. Right.
And you said something that's really powerful, changing our question.
Mhm.
That's really what this is about, because how many of us are going through life without just leading a program life? What if we challenge ourselves a little bit by changing the question? Because sometimes we're in victim mode. Sometimes we're like, why does this always happen to me? I knew this was going to happen.
Mhm.
That's not a quality question. What if we change it to, whatever I'm experiencing, what is it here to teach me?
What does you teach me?
It's like, challenge yourself. Are the people in my life holding my space? Are they allowing me to grow? Or am I changing who I am to be around people?
Mhm.
And just changing your question, even just, how is this serving me? What am I here to learn? Is such a part, because it changes it from victim to victor. It's that kind of, what am I here to? And it's just, I make this stuff sound simple, right? Because, well, we're so programmed to be in the victim mode. It does require effort to change.
It does. It does.
And the first thing I'd always recommend, just to finish, is, I feel like we're shifting from I think to I feel.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
maybe the first shift that we recommend to people is, when you're trying to make a decision, instead of how do I think about this, how do I
I
feel about it?
don't know about this. Yeah.
And maybe that gets a shift in you and starts to get you to trust your heart. Because like before, the old paradigm would always be, don't make a decision in emotion. You've got to make a head. I feel like it's all changing. It's now you've got to trust your heart. By the way, I can talk about this for hours, just so you
No,
know.
we can't. I certainly can too. I love it. It was like you just said what you just said. I remember I used to work with leaders all the time in the federal space, actually. And I remember the first time, maybe 10 years ago, I think I said something about, you think you're making decisions and you're leaving the emotions at the door. So the emotions are in a backpack, and then you conveniently put them down outside the door, come into the meeting, stay all logical, and then go back outside the door and pick your emotion bag back up. Because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Every decision you make has an emotion behind it. The question is, are you allowing that emotion to drive your decision, or are you allowing it to inform your decision?
Yeah.
And people looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, like, and I don't know where that came from at the time. It's just at the time, that's what made sense to me.
Exactly. Because you channeled it, right? It came from somewhere else, right? How beautiful.
That's how it usually happens. I never prepare for talks. I have an idea, the theme, but I don't. I let it come to me.
Yeah.
No matter how much I prepare for something, whatever I said was different than what I prepared for.
100%.
All of it.
As long as you're open to that, because how often do we get frustrated? We
Yes.
have an expectation of how something's going to go,
Mhm.
and it doesn't go that way, and we get frustrated. But what
Yes.
if it actually went better? And what if it leads to something totally different? And just because it's interesting you talk about the corporate space. I remember I spent many years in the corporate space, and I was leading a team, and I was like, at the time, I'd always think, I wish I could apply my structure and how I work in the corporate world to my home space. I was like, I wasn't as spiritual then, and I remember having a meeting with my leadership team, and it was an interesting experience. We had an exercise where I turned my chair and they were talking about me.
Mhm.
Kind of interesting because I can't interject. And their feedback was they wanted more of my emotional side and
Mhm.
how I was in the home world into my corporate. And it just, but in my mind, I'm like, hold on, I'm doing really well in the corporate space. We're doing this and this. But the feedback from them in the universe was actually, no, I need to merge worlds. I need to bring more of that emotion. And that changed my world. That made me realize that actually that being present and listening to your emotions is so much more important in the corporate space than listening to your head.
Yeah,
Again, just my view, right?
yeah. But I think that view is starting to become more prevalent. I think at least people are saying it. Let me caveat this. People are saying it, right? And the question is, do they really believe it to be true? And maybe that just takes time because
It does, but it
I've
takes individuals within the corporate world
right.
to challenge that,
It's
right?
kind
And
of
I do feel like individuals in the corporate world are starting to challenge that thinking.
Mhm.
I feel like the corporates themselves are just speaking the language, just my opinion.
Yeah,
But I feel like there's individuals that are starting to change the mold, break the mold.
trying to break the mold. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm called to do is break molds.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. You're a disruptor. You're an expander.
Yeah.
And my advice to anyone that's an expander will just say that look, you're meant to trigger people,
Mm.
and sometimes that trigger will cause pain, but you're not here to fix that pain.
No,
That's the other thing we try and do, right? We try
mm.
and fix people's pain. Uh,
Can't do that either. Can't do
well,
that either.
how much have you learned from your pain? Why would you want someone else not to experience that growth?
Mhm. That's so fascinating when you think about it. I was doing this talk at a mastermind about dream killers, and it goes to the point of saying, hey, we all had these experiences, we've all had traumas, we've all had people tell us we couldn't do something or hold us back, and or people have done things to us that have shifted our world, and what I'm going to say doesn't negate the experience. It doesn't take the responsibility away from the person who did the bad things. It doesn't exonerate them. It doesn't any of that stuff. But I feel like we've had these dream killers, and I said ultimately, I said the dream killer is really you, right?
Yeah,
It's really
so
me.
joyous. Yeah,
And because as soon as I understand what happened, the moment I begin to understand what happened, is the moment that I can choose to either let that thing define me or decide and choose that I don't want that I want something else. I
yeah,
don't want this. I want this. This is what I want. And this is how I want to be known. This is how I want to be remembered. Whatever that looks like, whatever it is, I'm going to be this or I am that. And we're the ones that are now responsible for making that change.
yeah. Nobody can kill your dream, right?
And so nobody should be able to kill your dream.
Nobody can unless you choose it, unless you
Yes,
let
you
them.
choose it. And even still, even though it may have been killed at age 5 or 10 or 15 or 18 or 21 or 25, it's still there. You
Yeah,
just got to get still to hear it again and bring it back to your awareness again and then put your attention on it.
yeah. But again, just like your experience in 2023, what if that experience as a child,
Mm,
a dream isn't dead, but what if what you experience there gives you the strength to fight for your dream?
yeah.
It isn't what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens
How
to
you
you, right?
respond to it. It's how you respond to
And
it.
in our inner child and what our inner child went through, and it's not just about this lifetime, but actually drives a lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, absolutely.
That inner child work and understanding how you this is what I said, this is what I mean by having an honest conversation with ourselves. Sometimes we go through life kidding ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not really happy with what was happening in our world, but we don't want to have that conversation with ourselves because they'd be like, then maybe we'll have to do something about it. And all of this, for me right now, it's important that we look in the mirror and be honest with how do we really feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
What parts of our world are we happy about? But what parts of the world are we not happy about? And what are we going to do about it? And
Yeah.
that could be a career, that could be a relationship, that could be anything in your world, it could be where you live, whatever it may be. But I feel like we're being pushed to change our worlds, to close cycles, to truly shine our light. And I also feel if we don't do it, universe is going to kick us up the backside, however you want to call it, and force us to do something about it. And I would prefer us to do it with ease and grace and choose to do it.
Yes.
Rather than wait for the universe to do something for us.
And that's the choice that we have right ahead of us, I think, is, are we going to choose to accept whatever this next evolution is going to be for us? And if we don't want to make that shift, or we're afraid to make that shift, I always look at it like we're looking at everything in the world through the lens of our programs, all the programs we got when we were downloading that between age 0 and 7, 8, and any traumas you experienced on the way, that became a program too, right? So those are the base level programs. And our programs meet other people's programs, and then we don't like it. But like you said, what are you willing to do? And you have to install a new program.
Yeah. We all have a choice, right? And both this conversation, people are probably listening and saying we make it sound easy.
Yeah, no.
It's easy. It is. Einstein's definition of insanity: keep doing the same thing, expect a different set of results.
Yeah.
You're not a tree. If you want to change something, then shift, right? You've got to do something different. And I do feel that we are being pushed, and it's just, we are resisting. But the more that we listen to ourselves, the more that we trust our intuition, and the more that we challenge this world that we really live in and put ourselves at the center. And what I mean by putting ourselves at the center is, what is your self-care routine? What are you doing for you? How are you nurturing? And it's just, we're programmed to put everybody else first.
Yeah.
And we come somewhere bottom of the queue, and then we become victim mode. I have no time for me because I'm doing all this stuff. But you're choosing to do all the other stuff. And I get that's difficult, especially if you've got kids, you've got responsibilities. But if you're putting everybody else first, what example are you setting for others?
What example are you setting?
And what if you focusing on you allows you to shine your light and help so many more people?
Yeah.
That's the shift I feel like we're going through. And I feel like the cycles are so much quicker. Times is such a weird concept right now. I don't even get it. It's just so weird. It's like, I don't even, sometimes I have to look and say, what day is it?
What day is it?
It's just weird. It's just, I don't even know. I feel things are shifting, and it's just, because the other thing is that we can feel change coming. We can feel change coming at such a rapid rate.
Yes.
And if we're honest with ourselves as humans, the human nature, we like routine.
Yep.
Change is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people say, I love change. I love change, isn't it? But you love change if you can see it coming and you know what it is.
Exactly.
You don't know what the change is, it scares you. And it's okay to acknowledge the scare. I mean, what's courage? It's having fear and doing it anyway. So it's okay to be scared. But what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. That is so powerful. I think when I think about, like, even just the definition of courage, I think people are afraid. People can see their programs, and I think the acknowledgement of the programs is interesting. I think some people feel like hear the self-care thing, right? Self-love thing. But that's great. Then I'm gonna dismiss everybody else, and I'm gonna just, it's be all about me. And so then you're not serving your purpose. What do you mean not serving my purpose?
That's not what self-care is, right?
I'm focused on me. That's my purpose. I'm like, okay, I hear you, but I don't know how that works out for you.
Exactly. Let me know. That's the thing. It's like, when I'm telling you to put you first, I'm telling you to make a conscious choice.
Yes.
So it means if you are going out your way for somebody, recognize you're doing it for you, not for them. You're doing it because it makes you feel good. So it's a choice.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're putting everybody else first and you feel like you're doing it because you have no choice, then you're going to end up resenting it.
Yes.
Putting yourself first doesn't mean ignoring everybody else, because we're a community. We're a
community.
We have soul contracts, and we take life so seriously sometimes. We're a soul having a human experience, and some of that experience is meant to be fun.
Yeah. And I think if we can find
serious,
and we can find joy in those things, and then just finding the joy. It's like we can find a joy in many things if we just take time to do it. And like you said, we take things so seriously. I look at all the stuff like you. I'm looking at all the stuff that's going on in the world, and my mind shifted. My mind has shifted because I didn't used to be in that space, but now I'm in a space where you know what, it's important, but it's really not that important.
But it can consume us. Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's like you're watching the news and you're saying, I don't watch the news anymore.
I don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah, just because it's just a narrative, right? And I mean, you of course keep an eye on what's happening on the planet, but don't let it consume you. Why would you let it? And it's just, and it just somehow talking about the male ego, we're not meant to cry.
Mm.
But hold on, we're here having human experience. And I feel like we don't laugh as much as we used to. This is great. We're laughing and joking in this. And that's such a beautiful thing. It's so healing when you laugh. It's so healing when you cry.
Yeah.
So I feel like whatever's happening on the planet right now, it's numbing our energy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not experiencing life. We're almost just, because we don't want to feel the pain, we're numbing our energy. But when you're stopping yourself feeling the pain, you're also stopping yourself feeling the joy.
So joy. Yes. Yes. I remember the first time, I think I've only seen my father cry 3 times in my lifetime, right? But being able to see that gave me permission to be able to express myself that way if that's where I was emotionally drawn. And I've always thanked him for that. He didn't understand why, because we were always told boys and men don't cry about anything.
Yeah.
And if you're crying,
Programming again, right? It's the programming again.
it's the program. And it's no, I think that, like I said in the beginning, it's like we're here to experience the full spectrum of emotions.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes those emotions will cause you to cry, and you'll have to mourn, and you have to do all those things. And there's nothing, I believe in stoicism from a movement, but I don't think we have to be stoic in the way we
100%.
behave, right? There's value in all that, but I don't think we need to be that rigid that we cannot.
It's that choice thing again, right? We talk about it goes back to the whole choice conversation.
Yes. Right. So what are you choosing now? That's a really choosing now.
What are you choosing now? And actually, what are you choosing this moment?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like actually has a big impact on what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the control you have. I feel like control is really just an illusion. I feel like it's the universe kind of playing jokes with us. And do you really feel like you know what's going to come in 6 months? Look at the last 6 months. So much chaos on the planet.
Yeah.
Do we really have, but we can control how we feel in this moment.
Yeah. Here's the example of what you just said. The last 6 months, because I don't watch the news and because I don't pay attention to all the rhetoric, and even though I'm on social media, I'm on social media because also have a business that I'm running. So there's communication, and I'm trying to share information with people and obviously do all those things.
Sure.
But I didn't pay attention to the noise. And so I felt like this has been a great year. It went by really fast. And this is going to be a year of expansion. And people are like, what are you talking about? It was so much this and so much that. I said, stop. I don't want it. Don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't tell me about all that.
Don't mess with my vibe. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to hear about that. And I think that's people will act like you're just walking around in rose-colored glasses. No, I'm just choosing where to direct my attention.
100%.
I know these things are going on. I get that.
You're not ignorant to it. It's just,
but I don't need to live in it.
You're not letting it consume your power, which is so beautiful. That's why I feel like the sort of your attitude in the way is we need to be that bridge.
Yeah.
With that bridge, and people have a choice. Do they take a little bit from this conversation and choose to do something different or not? And it doesn't matter. It's not, if people choose to do that, it's not on us, right? It's not on me or you, but it is a choice, right? We come back to that. Is it a choice of what do you focus on expands? And it's just being that bridge. We're not here to force anyone to change. We're here to guide people and give people an option.
Yeah.
And you starting this podcast and having these sort of conversations is what you're doing is you're creating a bridge. You're letting people know they can feel or think differently if they choose to.
If they choose to, yeah.
And that's because we get hung up on forcing people to change. If this person could see things how I do, then everything would be so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control that person. The only thing you can do is control what you focus on this moment. But actually, when you do that, you're actually giving your power away.
Yeah, you are.
You're making it someone else's problem. You're judging somebody else, but are you looking internally? This is such an interesting time where I feel like we're all being challenged. And you talk about this last year. Whatever happened on the news isn't what I mean about. I just feel there was a lot of shifts happening in all of us
Mhm.
this last year, and it was all about closing out cycles and going through rebirths. I
Mhm.
feel like we're entering into a phase, probably March, April time, where it's all going to be about our light.
Mhm.
So there's a shift happening. Or
Yeah,
are we still going to get lost in the news and the chaos of the planet? Because I feel like the planet's going to go through chaos for a couple of years.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Whether we're here or not, it's
100%.
whether we're here or not.
But what if it's meant to happen? What if it's breaking down barriers? What if it's breaking down programming and breaking down things that no longer serve?
Yeah. I used to say that there's so many systems that are broken that what we need is a complete collapse of all of it.
You might get your wish.
Then the question is, what does that look like? That's people were like, I don't know if I want to have that happen. I was like, but what if that is intended to happen? What if that's the reset that we're supposed to have?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. And
We need to know. Well, that's the thing. We need to know. Because I feel like if we knew exactly what was going to happen, we'd probably freak out.
and a lot of people run from it.
Yeah.
And they can run from it anyway because they don't know. So people run from the unknown. Let's go ahead and we got to keep moving forward anyway. The planet's still going to spin on its axis, and the sun's going to rise and the sun's going to set. And so,
How much power do we think we're going to have? Exactly. The sun's still going to come up. It's still going to go down. Light and dark. Oh my God, I got darkness. There is no light without dark. If you're going through something dark, go through it.
yes,
This is a phase. This too shall pass.
this too shall pass. I've been saying that a lot. This this
Because
too
it
shall pass.
will.
This,
And it
this
works in all ways. If things are going great, who decides what's good or bad? But if things are perceptibly going great,
mm,
let me experience it. Let me truly feel it. And if things are being a bit challenging, okay, this is a phase.
this is a phase. I'm loving this conversation. We definitely need to continue it.
Yeah.
For
Like
sure.
yeah.
For sure. No, I'm looking forward to it, and certainly want to be on your show too. And I definitely will definitely connect and do that. Is there anything that we didn't talk about or share that you feel like is important for everyone to know or someone to hear?
There's so much that we've shared. If just know that you're loved, you're needed, and you're wanted, and
Yeah.
you choose to be here, whatever you're going through, the universe loves you and you're being supported if you allow the universe to support you. Listen to your intuition, listen to your nudges, and allow the universe to love you. Allow your space to be held because there's so many of us that don't want to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a sign of strength to ask for help, to get help, whatever that may look like.
That's right. We never do this alone. We do this in community. And as soon as we
100%.
break that, as soon as we can embrace that.
Yeah. The thing is, the reality is no one's going to fully understand your journey because you're a unique soul, right? But there are communities that can hold your space.
Yeah.
There are communities there are people that can hold your space while you're going through a shift.
Mhm.
There are people that are not going to try and fix you because you don't need fixing.
Need fixing. Right.
There's a power greater than us that created you. And what if that power doesn't make mistakes and you're exactly where you're meant to be? You're perfect as you are and you don't need fixing. And from that place, you can then decide what you want to do next. Because the stages of, I could keep talking about stuff, but the stages of healing, from my perspective, are the first stage is always awareness.
Yes.
We have to become aware. This is where the questions come in. The next stage is acceptance. It's like all of a sudden we have a bit of information. It's, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. Unless you've got a time machine, and if you have, let me know. You have to accept this moment. You have to accept this version of you.
Right.
You have to, in whatever flaws you think you have, whatever strengths you accept this version of you. And then from this version, fall in love with you, and you can take on the world.
Yep. That's it, 100%. I love it.
Thank you for this conversation.
Nimesh, thank you. Wow, yes, for sure. Come back. We can do a part two.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. All right. Wow, we're gonna end it there, but I'm so appreciative and yeah, just honored to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing in that conversation. I think there's a lot of takeaways for folks to be
Yeah.
thinking about, and hopefully they had that impact on at least one person, hopefully others.
Yeah. We can only just share our knowledge. We can't control.
That's right. We can't control it.
Yeah.
So, but I think we did what we're supposed to do today.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for creating this space to just allow us to share and shine our light. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too. And with that, we'll just say farewell for now.
Farewell for now, I'm sure.